Hello students, I'm the coach and I'm going to teach you some important things about the math part of the ACT. First of all, do not be afraid of this test. You have all the advantages. Now it's true that the test makers will try to trip you up sometimes, but if you follow the rules, you'll be able to answer most of the questions. You don't have to get them all right, just get most of them right. All right, the first rule is read the question carefully. The makers of this test go out of their way to try to slip things by you. Read every word. Words such as integer, prime, consecutive, odd, even, must, positive, negative, biggest, smallest, all of those are important to answering the questions. And the corollary to this is do not anticipate the question. You'll get no credit if you answer the wrong question, even if you answer it right. So make sure you know if they want perimeter or area, median or mean. I cannot stress this enough. Read the question carefully and don't anticipate it. Okay, let's list your advantages. First of all, you've studied everything that will be on this test in algebra and geometry classes. All right, maybe there'll be one or two advanced questions, but don't worry about it. You'll get most of them right if you studied your algebra and geometry. Second, you will be given enough information to answer every question. And, listen up, this is important, you will rarely be given any extra information. That's a huge advantage. For example, if they tell you that the length of the radius of a circle, then you must use that number to solve the problem. Always ask yourself, why did they give me this piece of information? How does it fit into finding the solution to the question? Third advantage, there are 60 questions that you have to do in 60 minutes. That means the test maker cannot give you a question that takes 5 minutes to answer. So if the problem looks like it'll take a long time, you have gotten off track. Fourth advantage, the questions are arranged from easy to hard. So if question number 2 looks hard to you, well, you missed something. And if question 52 looks easy, you missed something. All right, sometimes a question seems out of place, but the location in the test is usually a good guide to how difficult the question will be. All right, finally, and this is the biggest advantage of all, this is a multiple choice test. Of all the answers in the whole world, they have narrowed the choices down to 5. And the corollary of this is, even if you don't have an idea how to solve the problem, you have a 20% chance to get it right. But you can't get it right if you don't answer it. So don't leave any questions unanswered. There's no penalty for a wrong answer on this test. So when there's a minute left on any section of this test, just fill in random answers to the questions you haven't done. Okay. Let's talk about multiple choice questions. First of all, there's a huge amount of information in the answer choices, and you should use it. Always look at the answers before you begin trying to solve the problem. For one thing, the form of the answer will guide you in solving the problem. If all the answers have pi in them, you don't want to waste your time calculating the answer as a decimal. So in general, don't calculate pi or square roots until you have to. Often, you will not have to. Multiple choice questions invite a different method of solving problems than you would normally use. It's called back solving. That's where you pick an answer and you try it out. All right, let's try this out in a real problem from a real recent ACT test. Now this is question number 47, so it's considered a pretty hard question. And here's the question. The least common multiple of two numbers is 108. The bigger number is 54. What is the greatest possible value of the other number? This question simply screams back solve. The answer choices are 2, 6, 18, 27, and 36. Now, when you back solve, you want to pick the number to start with very carefully. In this case, because we want the largest number possible, we're going to start with the largest answer, which is 36. Just take out your calculator, put in the number 108, divide it by 36, and if the answer is a whole number, then you're finished. And lo and behold, 108 divided by 36 is 3. You're finished with this problem. If that didn't work, then you'd try 27 and then 18 and so forth. This is a much easier way to solve this problem than to do the algebra. Okay, here we started with the biggest number for a good reason, but other things being equal, when you back solve, start with the middle answer when they're lined up from least to greatest. If that answer is not correct, most of the time you will be able to tell whether the right answer is bigger or smaller. That will only leave two choices. So you try one of those. If it's right, that's the answer. If it's not, then the other one is the answer. So you'll only have to do two calculations to back solve most problems. All right, here's another one. This was question number 21, so it's a fairly easy one. The length of a rectangle is 4 inches longer than its width. The perimeter of the rectangle is 28 inches. What is the width? Answer choices 5, 7, 10, 12, 14. Now, you should know that the perimeter of a rectangle is the distance around the outside, if you don't review the geometry section. Okay, let's start with the middle value, 10. If the width is 10, then the length is 10 plus 4, or 14. So the perimeter is, can you do it? 14 plus 14 plus 10 plus 10, which equals 48. Well, that's much too big, so we have to try a smaller number. An intelligent guess would be that since when W is 10, the perimeter is twice what we wanted, then maybe we need half as big a number, so let's try 5. If you tried 5, then you will get the right answer. If you tried 7, you wouldn't, but then you'd know it has to be 5. Multiple choice, back solving, use them. Okay, occasionally you will want to break this rule about starting with the middle number because it will be easier to solve with another number, say an integer, or maybe a multiple of 10. And now that this word integer has come up, well, let's talk about this word and other kinds of numbers. What is an integer? If you said a whole number, well, you're on the right track. But remember, the integers include negative numbers and 0. Many questions specify that the numbers involved will be integers, and other questions imply it. For example, people have to be figured in integers. Cars are figured in integers. Half a car is no use to you. You can't have half a person. So when those questions arise, think in terms of integers. The other kind of number you'll encounter is called a prime. A prime number is one that can only be divided by itself in 1. 2 is the only even prime. All the rest are odd. And 1 is not considered a prime. Okay, let's talk fractions. Many modern calculators will calculate fractions for you, but it's essential that you know the rules about fractions. So here they are. Multiplication of fractions. You multiply the numerators, you multiply the denominators. For example, 3/4 times 7/8 equals 3 times 7, 21, 4 times 8, 32, 21 over 32. Division of fractions. The rule is keep, change, flip, KCF. You keep the first fraction, you change the sign to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction. For example, 3/4 divided by 7/8 is 3/4 times 8 over 7, which is 24 over 28. Addition or subtraction of fractions with the same denominator is easy. Add the numerators, keep the denominator. For example, 3/7 plus 2/7 equals 5/7. Now, addition or subtraction of fractions with different denominators is the tough one. You have to find a common denominator and put each fraction into a form with that denominator. For example, 1/2 plus 1/3 equals 3/6 plus 2/6, and that equals 5/6. Though there may be a smaller common denominator, it is always safe to use the product of the two denominators. Okay, sometimes you'll have to reduce a fraction to get one of the answers offered. In the example for dividing fractions, we got 24 divided by 28, which can be reduced to 6/7. When you reduce a fraction, you divide both numerator and denominator by the same number. In this case, you divide by 4. When you want to see if you can reduce a fraction, start with 2. If both numerator and denominator are even numbers, then you can reduce by 2. Then try 5. If the numbers both end in 5 or 0, then they can be reduced by 5. And then try 3. Well, to tell if a number is divisible by 3, add the digits and see if this number is divisible by 3. For example, is 52311 divisible by 3? Well, the digits add to 12, which is divisible by 3. So 52311 is divisible by 3.